Good morning, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Iris Murillo. I'm the Director of Communications. In just a minute, I'll introduce you to the rest of the panel. Today, we are highlighting key insights from Child Action's Impact Report for fiscal year 24-25, and we're really promoting the importance of investing in child care, which we know is critical for supporting children and families and essential for a thriving local economy. We share the perspective that childcare is not a luxury. It is a backbone of a strong economy and essential to the workforce infrastructure. We will provide you with key data points about Sacramento County's childcare landscape that you may not have known. We ask you to reflect on how childcare has impacted you personally, and to take with you a powerful new data-driven tool that we developed. We hope that this session informs you as you make fiscal and policy decisions affecting your operations, and consider the high-level needs of your community members and remain engaged throughout the year to serve all families in Sacramento County. A few housekeeping notes. This webinar is recorded, will be recorded, currently recorded, and materials will be shared in about a week with a link to our new impact report. And we encourage you to put your questions in the chat, and we'll respond to questions after the webinar, along with a link to the recording. Next slide. Talking about the meeting agenda. With that, let's take a moment to cover the key topics today. Following our open remarks, which you're currently receiving, we'll take a look at what we'll cover next. Regarding childcare access gaps, we'll guide you through the challenges that our families are experiencing when looking for high quality childcare. And you'll learn about the innovative data tool that Child Action created to help decision makers reach solutions. Regarding our impact, we will walk you through 4 key areas we focus on every day to strengthen the child care system. While delivering payments and services, we know it's foundational, but our work goes beyond that. Child Action drives system-level change that improves access, strengthens the workforce, and supports long-term sustainability. We'll also hear from our guest panelists who will help illustrate how essential partnerships are advancing this work and strengthening our regional strategy. And in looking ahead, we will close by building on our vision and strategy, ways to be more resourceful, and how each of us can take action to help move the work forward. So before we dive into today's discussion, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the panel joining us. Their experience and leadership help to shape the work and guide the insights we'll be sharing today. So to start, we have Adne Mack, Chief Executive Officer here at Child Action, Blake Johnson, Chief Strategy Officer, Robert Height, Chief Executive Officer, Sacramento Metro Chamber of Commerce, Janine Cooper, Child Care Project Manager for the City of Sacramento, Aaron Manley, Director of Research and Data, and of course myself, Iris Murillo, Director of Communications. So next one. So I'd like to briefly introduce Child Action for those who may be new to our work. Child Action has been serving Sacramento County for nearly 5 decades. This year, we are celebrating 50 years of service. It is a major milestone for the organization, and we are so ready to celebrate. We're headquartered in Rancho Cordova, and we serve families throughout Sacramento County with programs that expand access to quality child care and early childhood education. Oh, I see the love. Thank you for all the hearts. We recently broadened our reach through 6 additional co-location sites, which were made possible through partnerships and trust that we've built in the community across the county. Our mission is simple, but it's powerful. We empower families and childcare professionals with the tools and support they need to successfully care for children. And our vision is clear, that all children and families in Sacramento County have access to affordable, quality childcare and early education services. Let's take a look at who we serve. So who we serve, you can see here, 34,000 total reach across Sacramento County, which consists of nearly 20,000 children, over 10,000 families, and 4,500 child care providers. This is really driven by the work that is done in two main departments, which is our client and relationship engagement, which we know here at our offices as the care department, and community engagement teams. And basically, we oversee the county's alternative payment and resources and referrals programs. Through those departments, we steward childcare investments and connect families with quality childcare providers. Next slide. And looking at demographics, just really briefly, we know that we serve a really diverse population. And as you can see, the organization's demographics are quite similar. And why this matters is because we ensure that parents and providers feel seen, are heard, and they're understood as they move through the enrollment process and the entire period of service. Now, as a result, Child Action has become a trusted source in the community, and it is truly our most treasured asset. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Erin Manley to cover the access gap.
Unmute yourself, Erin.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. I was saying thank you to everyone for being here, and thank you, Iris, for handing off. I'd like to transition here by getting us grounded in our current landscape of childcare. Understanding the scale of need will help frame the impact of the work we're about to share. At a high level, limited access to childcare is not just a challenge for families. It has significant economic consequences for our entire region. In Sacramento County alone, gaps in childcare infrastructure contribute to an estimated $1 to $1.2 billion in lost economic potential each year. This is affecting families, employers, our overall economic productivity. So we can start by really looking at the amount of underserved children in our county. This is a key driver, a key indicator, something we are always talking about, and why we need to increase access. This is limited subsidy availability. If only 1 in 5 income eligible children are able to access subsidized childcare under the existing federal and state funding levels. We can also talk through a backlogged system. It tells us that demand continues to outpace available resources. More than 4,300 children remain on Child Action's eligibility list. These are eligible families unable to access the care that they need. Anecdotally, we know some parents may not apply if they know that list is too long. They know they may not have that chance. So the number reflects only the families who are aware of the assistance, who have applied, and doesn't fully capture the extent of the need in the community if parents then are deciding not to apply. We can also talk about mismatched services. If you could go back. Mismatched services speaks to the increased complexity in the type of care families need. We saw 13% of our referral requests in 24-25 looking for non-traditional hours. That's care anytime before or after 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. So this is including your evening time, your weekends, your overnight care that families need. An additional 3% reflect the need for flexible or rotating schedules. And so, in essence, we don't operate solely on a 9 to 5 schedule. If parents can't find the childcare they need, both for their child and for their work schedule, they can't work. Next slide. So those broader economic impacts underscore what families are experiencing every day. I want to take a closer look at the economic realities facing the families we serve. So families receiving childcare subsidies through Child Action report a median monthly income of $2,400. This is compared to the county median of $7,600. That means these families are living on just 31% of the county's median income. So now imagine the cost of childcare. It's an average of $1,200 to $1,300 a month right now. So parents face real barriers to staying in the workforce if they can't afford that reliable, accessible care. This means and looks like inconsistent schedules, missed work, or being unable to accept a job opportunity altogether. Being forced to stay at home and out of the workforce does not work. This is where we see the $1.2 billion economic loss each year. Childcare subsidies knock down some of these barriers by enabling parents to remain employed, maintain a consistent work schedule, and work toward greater financial stability for themselves and for their families. So while these challenges highlight the barriers families face, it also speaks to the importance of the work being done, why investments to childcare are so important, so impactful. One of the challenges across the system has been the lack of accessible, timely data that helps communities, partners, decision makers, us see where the greatest needs are, where investments can make the biggest impact, and ultimately where we can concentrate our dollars. So we at Child Action got busy on a solution. Child Action launched a new interactive platform this year, our investments webpage. We're all excited to hear about the data tool. It is childactioninvestments.com. I know a few of you are already scanning that QR code. Feel free to scan the code, take the ride along with me. This site truly translates complex childcare data into clear, actionable insights across Sacramento County. It was ultimately designed to make our data more accessible and useful for a wide range of stakeholders. Again, that's me and you and everyone in the room here. It provides dynamic data that's updated at least monthly, with future enhancements planned to enable more real-time updates. This is phase one. We have many phases coming. There are key metrics across communities and different types of childcare programs, and it'll show you where services are reaching families, but then where gaps still remain. It supports more data-informed decision-making. This is what our leaders need. It allows us to align resources, track impact, and identify opportunities to strengthen the system over time. This tool also reinforces our role as a trusted steward of public resources. By making investments in childcare this transparent, there's accountability. It is clearly connected to the broader data and how different parts of the childcare system interact and how they affect our children, our families, and our economy. So without further ado, I will switch on over to check out childactioninvestments.com. Give me just a moment. Is everyone good on the website, Audrey? Yep. Okay. So we're starting off at our homepage. And tells you investing in childcare is going to strengthen our impact. You can see our metrics on every single page. These are our key metrics we're constantly measuring. And if you scroll down, you'll see the 4 pages included: childcare investments, district investments, community demographics, and childcare supply. And they're also available in the menu to your left. So let's check out childcare investments. This page breaks down investments geographically, again, our key metrics. It helps us see where funding is currently concentrated. And we're going to check out one of our great cities in Sacramento County. And why not Rancho Cordova and see what Mayor Gatewood is up to? And you'll see the map drill down to his area's total investments, families served, children served, and investment per child. This is an important piece of information. And his card will show the exact, that same detail. Now, a little tip here is before starting a new search, go ahead and refresh and clear your previous selected filters. And then we'll hop on over to district investments. And here we've aligned that same data by legislative districts. This is especially useful for engaging policymakers, helping them understand the impact of childcare investments within their own communities. Now, if I'm a legislative official, I'm going to look at these metrics and how many children I'm serving, and I'm going to wonder, how can I serve more? But you'll see their card includes total investments, parent earnings, families served, and children served. You could also filter, but this is everybody in Sacramento County on your front page there. So moving over to community demographics, this section adds important context. It shows who the families are in these communities, helping us better understand the populations we're serving. So you'll see children under 5, under 18, and our median household income. If I click on our county, we'll see some extra charts and graphs here. So keep scrolling down on a couple of these. And now for childcare supply, this is where it all comes together. We can clearly see the gap in available childcare across the county, highlighting where targeted investments could have the greatest impact. And you can see the makeup of providers enrolled in our subsidy program. So as we think about the path forward, tools like this help ensure that our strategies are not only responsive, but also grounded in real data about what families and providers need most. With that context, hope you enjoyed the review. Let's take a closer look at how those strategies translate into real impact for families, providers, and the broader Sacramento County community. I'm going to kick it over to Audrey for him to get started on that.
Excellent. Thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate this and really appreciate the data and the introduction of a new website for us that really allows folks from outside Child Action to look at the data and to understand what that data looks like. What you're seeing in the data reflects what we experience every day. Growing demand for childcare, increasing complexity in family needs, and real pressure on providers trying to sustain their programs. In response, our work is focused on strengthening the childcare system across 4 key areas. First, investments. We're ensuring families can access care while supporting the providers who make that possible. Second, expanding supply, because access depends on having enough providers and available space in our communities where families live and where they work. Third, We want to support the workforce. So recognizing that childcare is an essential element to keeping parents employed and businesses operating. And then lastly, systems leadership. As an organization, we are advancing policy and developing partnerships that create long-term sustainable solutions for our community. And I'll walk through these, and we'll also hear from our partners who are helping us move this work forward through our entire region. Let's start with investments. This past year, Child Action distributed over $100 million in childcare subsidies. We are supporting nearly 20,000 children and more than 10,000 families. That investment enabled parents to earn over $264 million in income. Let me say that one more time. This investment allowed our parents to earn over $264 million in income, money that flows directly back into our local economy. When combined, this results in approximately $425 million in total economic activity across our entire county in the past year. At its core, this is what childcare does. It enables workforce participation. And when parents can work, families are stabilized, businesses operate more effectively, and the broader economy benefits. The second area is strengthening supply. And so access to childcare really depends on having enough providers and available space. This year, we supported the opening of 175 new childcare programs, creating 1,575 new spaces for families. Importantly, 58 of these programs were located in high priority zip codes within the city of Sacramento, adding 658 spaces in communities with the greatest need. This kind of targeted expansion is critical to ensuring that families can find care where they live and where they work. I'll turn this over to our partner Janine in the city of Sacramento to share how the city is supporting these efforts at the local level. Janine, over to you.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this conversation. I just want to say that data tool, I'm looking forward to using that to support my work as well. So thank you guys for that. From the city's perspective, one of the most important things we've learned is that expanding childcare capacity really depends on strong local partnerships. No single organization can address this challenge alone. It takes coordination between agencies like Child Action, local government, community-based organizations, and providers themselves to identify where the needs are greatest and to align resources effectively. The city plays a key role in helping create the conditions that allow childcare providers to open, grow, and sustain their programs. That can include looking at planning and zoning policies, streamlining processes where possible, and ensuring that childcare is considered as part of a broader community and economic development efforts. When we think about infrastructure, childcare needs to be part of that conversation alongside housing, transportation, and workforce development. And at the local level, supply building is especially important because access to childcare is deeply tied to geography. Families need care that is close to where they live or work and that fits their daily schedules. When supply is limited in certain neighborhoods, particularly in high-need communities, it creates real barriers for families trying to stay employed or pursue opportunities. That's why efforts like the targeted expansion you just saw, focusing on high-priority zip codes, are so important. They ensure that new capacity is not just added broadly, but added where it can have the greatest impact. Ultimately, strengthening childcare supply at the local level helps create more stable communities, supports working families, and contributes to a stronger, more resilient local economy. Thank you, Arne. Back to you.
Not on mute.
There you go.
I know, y'all caught me almost caught me. I was still on mute. Thank you, Janine. I truly appreciate your work. You have been a wonderful partner with Child Action. The city has been a wonderful partner, and I really appreciate all the work that we've done together. Reliable childcare is essential also to a stable workforce. The families we serve are employed across a wide variety of industries throughout Sacramento County, including the state of California, Sacramento County, and major healthcare systems that rely heavily on a consistent and dependable workforce. What's often less visible is how sustained that support is. Families remain enrolled for an average of 826 days or just over 2 years. That consistency allows parents to stay employed and helps employers maintain a reliable workforce. Without stable childcare, that consistency breaks down, and the impact is felt not just by families, but also across entire industries. I'll turn it over to Robert to share how this shows up from the business community's perspective. Thank you for joining us, Robert.
Good morning. Thank you, Adne, and thank you to everyone on the call. Congratulations on the new website. I think that's going to be a great resource and tool. And I'll also just mention, Adne, thank you for serving on the Metro Chamber Board, because you having a seat at the table ensures this is a part of the conversation, and it's always happening. So thank you for your leadership there. You know, I think from the business community's perspectives, I echo what Janine said. It's not just a social service. This is much like what you said, Janine, when it comes to workforce infrastructure, transportation, all those things. We have to look at it differently. I think there was a time where it was sort of taboo and, it was the parents' problem, but it really is a workforce issue in how we look at things like housing, transportation, and it really impacts the employee and how they can show up and be productive and remain in their job without that added stress of having to worry about access, or whether it's the affordability or whatever it may be. When you look at it from the business perspective, and we represent hundreds and hundreds of businesses across a vast variety of industries, when the childcare isn't accessible or it sort of fails for that family, the business is impacted, which means the consumer is impacted. So the impacts just continue to compound. We know that when childcare is stable, accessible, employers reap the rewards of not having the absenteeism or the just kind of that distracted feeling. Because if you have a little one home not well, or you can't get access to childcare, that stress carries into the workplace. And so it really translates into a more reliable workforce that can be focused on the task at hand. When there's misshifts and gaps in kind of shifting and things like that, those operational disruptions really cost the economy and business every single day. And whether it's healthcare, public service, it's a burden to the business and a stress and strain on the family. We view childcare as essential to the workforce infrastructure. It does two things. It prevents productivity loss, and it serves a key retention strategy. It keeps your best people from walking out the door, and we know that matters with running businesses. We need the best people. And we also know that sometimes the access to it prevents us attracting the best of the best. So we know there are people who aren't in the workplace who we would love to have in the workplace, and all the employers we represent that say, we need people. They're home taking care of their little ones. At the regional level, I think it becomes more important because childcare influences the labor workforce participation, economic productivity, and an ability for us to grow as a region. I love on your dashboard for our elected officials. We do a lot of advocacy and conversations with our elected officials. So having that tool right at their fingertips is phenomenal. So congratulations on that. And really, again, it also could impact that parent's ability to advance in their career. So when they have disruptions in their world, are they really being able to level up and take their career and their journey to the next level? So from where I sit at the chamber, at the Metro Chamber, and I think one of my colleagues, Diane from the Rancho Cordova Chamber, may be on the call, and there might be a few others. Look, we focus on issues like this every day to strengthen the business community. This is not a side issue. I think this becomes a more prominent issue for us to really talk about, bring to the forefront. And again, that's why I'm proud, Adne, you sit on the chamber board, because we have almost 80 board members, and you are there to make sure that this voice is heard and you're representing, the issues at hand that could solve some of our workforce. We have to think at our core about competitiveness, workforce, long-term regional success, and this is an absolute part of it. We view this as important. We're engaged. Employers have a unique role to play, not just in recognizing that childcare is a workforce issue, but helping to move solutions forward. So it's having these conversations with employers to understand what this really means and being a part of that conversation. When we can partner with organizations like Child Action to support policies and expanded access, the possibilities are endless. I'll pause there, but thank you, Adne, and your team, because every single day we know that you all are working on this. Janine, same thing for you. It takes a village. And also, we have to remember from the business community perspective, these are our next generation of leaders. So the investment we put in today means we're going to have a greater output of workforce in the future. And so we're all in when it comes to helping to address some of these concerns.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate your comments and I appreciate the partnership. It has been a joy to sit on the chamber board, and we certainly are building the relationships necessary to really increase the economics in our region. I want to hand it over to Blake to talk a little bit about our system leadership.
All right, thank you, Adnan. And again, thanks again, Robert and the Sacramento Metro Chamber for your leadership and partnership on this. What Robert just outlined reinforces something we see every day. Childcare is not just a social service, it is essential economic and workforce infrastructure. And because of that, the way the system is designed and supported matters just as much as the services themselves. Meeting workforce and economic demand at scale requires more than individual programs. It requires alignment across policy, funding, and partnerships. And what you've seen so far reflects the impacts of these efforts. But sustaining and scaling that impact requires systems-level change. At Child Action, we are reaffirming our role as a systems leader, bringing together policy, investment, and partnerships to address structural challenges within the childcare system. At the local level, one example includes elevating childcare as essential infrastructure, helping lead efforts with Sacramento County to adopt a resolution declaring childcare a public priority. With strong support from regional partners like Greater Sacramento Economic Council, Sacramento Metro Chamber, First Five Sacramento, and our local childcare coalition, Lift Up Sacramento. At the state level, that includes adopting a public policy platform that guides our advocacy, focused on strengthening the childcare workforce, protecting families, access to care, and advancing a more coordinated whole family approach to services. That platform informs the legislation we sponsor and support each session, our engagement with the governor's office and the legislature, and our policy leadership in sponsoring AB 753 last year, which was signed into law to help address workforce shortages and expand access. And at the federal level, it means engaging directly with our congressional delegation, both here at home and in Washington, D.C., working closely with leaders like Congresswoman Doris Matsui and Congressman Ami Bera and Kevin Kiley to increase and protect critical childcare funding. And across all of this, we are serving as a convener, bringing together business, government, philanthropy, and elected leaders through efforts like our inaugural Building Bridges Policy Summit to advance shared solutions and coordinated action to expand access to childcare. But the goal is not just investment, it's alignment. Because without alignment, we cannot build a system that meets the needs of both families and employers at scale. Too often, policy, funding, and community needs are fragmented. Our role is to bring these pieces together in a coordinated system that functions as true infrastructure. Because ultimately, this is about building a system that is responsive, scalable, and sustainable. So building on that, we've identified 5 key areas where focused action can strengthen the system and expand access. I'll turn it over to Adonai to walk through how that work shows up in practice.
Cool. Thank you, Blake. Here's how this focus translates into action. What you see are 5 key areas where we are concentrating our efforts to strengthen the system and expand access. And I'll walk through each of these and give you an idea of what they look like in practice. First, expanding targeted childcare supply remains a critical issue. This includes increasing startup and expansion support in high-need communities so families can access care close to home, regardless of income or neighborhood. It also means expanding care during non-traditional hours, such as evenings, weekends, and overnight, that better align with the realities of today's workforce. In addition, local planning and zoning policies play an important role in making it easier for providers to open and grow programs, helping communities build the infrastructure needed for broader access. Number two, when we strengthen the childcare workforce, it means that early educators are the foundation of our system, and it allows them to expand their career pathways through apprenticeships and professional development opportunities. This will build a strong pipeline of qualified providers. At the same time, it will also improve compensation and have retention strategies, which are critical to stabilizing the workforce and sustaining high quality care. When we engage in our third approach will be to engage employers as partners. When we engage our employers as partners, it will present a key opportunity for not just our families, but also our business community. Employer-supported childcare models can strengthen existing community infrastructure while supporting workforce recruitment and retention. By integrating childcare into regional workforce strategies and convening business leaders, this can also help expand private sector investment in solutions that benefit both families and employers. Our fourth approach is stabilizing and modernizing public investments as a foundation to long-term success. Aligning funding with real-time community demand and exploring sustainable long-term funding strategies also leverages public-private partnerships that can help ensure resources are used effectively and sustainably. We're also seeing this type of momentum in other places, from local funding measures in Sonoma County to statewide investments in New Mexico and Vermont, and expanded across efforts in cities like New York, reinforcing that long-term sustainable solution is both plausible and achievable. And lastly, we want to improve access and improve our system navigation. By improving access and system navigation, this will allow expanding co-location models with trusted community partners. And this helps families connect more easily to a variety of services while also modernizing administrative practices and tools to simplify how families can access providers for a variety of services across multiple systems. In closing, I would just like to say, together, these areas reflect very focused and coordinated actions which we believe are needed to strengthen the childcare system and expand access for our families across our entire region. We're inviting you to be a part of advancing this work and to come be a true collaborative partner with Child Action. Blake, I'd like to hand it over to you for some final words.
Thank you, Adne. And building on Adne's invitation, again, this work requires all of us. As we have reiterated throughout this presentation or webinar, childcare is essential infrastructure for our workforce, our economy, and our community. This work is about more than delivering services. It's about building a system that creates opportunity for families, stability for employers, and a stronger future for children. It requires alignment across the public sector, private sector, philanthropy, and community partners to move this work forward in a meaningful way. Each of us has a role to play through partnership, advocacy, and investments, and we invite you to take that next step. Take a moment to scan the QR codes on the screen, whether it's to get involved, support this work, or explore the data and resources that we've covered today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Blake. And as Blake shared, we will follow up with a copy of our 24-25 impact report, along with a link to the recording of today's presentation and an evaluation survey. We thank you again for your time and your partnership. One last slide. Thank you. Here you have contact information to connect with our team, explore partnership opportunities, and learn more about how to support the work. If you have questions, please contact Erin and her team at researchanddata@childaction.org. And we really look forward to advancing this work with all of you. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.